this might actually be kind of a hot take, but buying a house was one of the worst things I've ever done. Obviously, everyone wants different things. Every market is different. Everyone's personal financial situation is different. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, we live just outside of Austin and we bought a house, and houses here are just very expensive. So like we couldn't really get a cheap house. So our house is a little pricey. And we bought about 2 years ago, and we did a new build, so we didn't have to put a lot of money down, which was great. But anyway, when we like signed the contract to buy the house, it was still being built. By the time we closed, interest rates had gone up by like almost a full percentage point. And we also locked in when house prices were the highest. So basically we bought it like the worst time possible in, the past few years. Within like 2 months of living in that house, I realized that I did not want to live there. It's way too far from all of our favorite stuff. It's way too expensive. It's too much space, honestly. Like, I don't like having to care for that much space. And I don't like feeling locked down. Like, I don't like feeling like we can't just like pick up and move when our lease is up or something. It took my husband longer to realize he felt the same way. But he also feels the same way. We decided that we would try to sell our house because we were like, we're just not happy here. Like, this wasn't the best decision for us. Like, let's just go. And we listed it like a year and a half, tried to list it at a price where we would at least break even. And obviously we haven't sold yet. It's been a year and a half. At this point, we are taking a huge loss on the house and taking out a personal loan to cover it, which I know sounds crazy, but our rent will be so drastically cheaper that even with a personal loan payment each month, we are each still saving like $1,000 a month once we move to an apartment. I don't necessarily regret buying the house because I'm the kind of person that has to do something in order to realize whether I like it or not. And so I had it in my mind that like buying a house was the goal. Like, everyone wants a house. It's the best decision you can make. It's a great financial investment, which like it absolutely can be if you time the market correctly, or if you're just going to stay there for like a really long time. Although I will say we've calculated, even if we stayed for 30 years, say, paid off our whole mortgage, and then wanted to sell our house and like make back money on it, the amount of money we would have paid in interest and everything, all said and done, our house would at that point have cost us like, I think almost $2 million or something, or like $1.7 million. And I kind of doubt that even in 30 years, we could sell for $2 million or something and make a few $100,000 off of it. Like, I just don't think it's ever going to be an investment that like pays off for us. I don't like totally regret doing it because I think I had to do it in order to realize it's not what I want. But if I could go back, obviously I would not buy the house. I would just stay renting in Austin. We would have saved so much money. But I think I would have always longed for a house, and I think I would have hated renting because I thought I wanted a house. So anyway, as my uncle put it, education is expensive. And that made me feel like the tiniest bit better about it. But anyway, I'm very excited to go back to renting. I don't think I will ever buy a house again unless I can pay for it basically in cash. Or we are just like, set for life, kind of rich, don't ever have to worry about a mortgage. We can pay people to take care of the landscaping, all that stuff. Because living here in Austin, apartments are really, really nice. And compared to other major cities, they're very cheap for what they are. You get a lot of amenities. Like, if you get a good management, company, like, they're great about taking care of stuff. There's always like a resort style pool, a great gym. Like, it's a good setup. So in order for us to have that at home, especially with a pool, it would just be very expensive. So anyway, all in all, I don't recommend buying a house unless, you're like wanting to stay there for a long time and you're really sure about that. I just think it's not the right move for a lot of people. And it's like such a narrative that it's the best thing that you can do. And it's the American dream and it's the goal. And like, it's just not for everyone.
going to lose their homes. They're going to lose their homes. I'm telling you guys, the storm is brewing and it's coming fast. Insurance premiums and property taxes are skyrocketing through the roof. And the result is that people's mortgage payments are getting higher and higher to the point that it's going to be unaffordable for most people. If you don't already know, your property insurance and your property taxes are rolled into your mortgage payment for as long as you have a mortgage. If you don't have a mortgage, you have to pay those property taxes and insurance separately outside of the mortgage. Part of your mortgage payment, when that statement comes in the mail, there's a line there that says escrow. And escrow is money that's set aside from your payments that is then used by the bank to pay your insurance and your property taxes. Your actual mortgage payment may not go up even if you have a low interest rate. Interest and principal will stay the same, but the amount you have to pay every month is going to skyrocket because the banks have to make sure you pay that. The mortgage payment is going to go up because they've got to pay property taxes and insurance. This has always been the case, but the difference this time is that the rate of acceleration on property taxes and insurance is unlike anything anybody has ever seen. People's monthly payments are going up from $1,800 to $2,800, from $2,500 to $3,500. One of two things can happen. You either lose your home to foreclosure because you can't afford that payment, or you try to sell your home so that you can get out of this terrible situation. And the more people that start to now try to sell their homes, the more inventory increases, the more those prices are likely to come down. This does vary state to state, so it's not exactly the same in every state. Some states are in worse situations than others. They weren't kidding. Those fuckers weren't kidding. They said you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
There are plenty of options for people looking for a new place to live. Real estate company Redfin finds there were roughly 500,000 more sellers than potential buyers in the market as of April. That's the biggest gap between those two groups since 2013, when Redfin started gathering this data. Analysis point to several factors as reasons why there's a dip in buyer demand, including U.S. trade tensions and fears of a possible recession. Despite the overabundance of supply, home prices are still on the rise. The National Association of Realtors say that the median existing home sales price increased 1.8% last month compared to April of last year.
The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is going through a significant real estate transition right now. Sellers are sitting on the market longer. Buyers are getting deals left and right in the spring and summer months, which is typically going to be more favorable to our sellers. What I've been seeing personally is buyers are getting seller concessions, which means they're getting money towards their closing costs. They're getting money from sellers to buy down their interest rate. I can tell you from experience with my own listings right now in the MLS portal, I'm able to pull up how many buyers that meet the criteria of my listing are currently active. And in the past few months, I have had about a fraction of what would typically be the buyer pool on my listings. Now, in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks, I'm slowly seeing that increase, which is wonderful news. That means more buyers are finally entering the market, and hopefully we're going to see a little bit of relief for the sellers that are sitting longer. Now, to the buyers in this market, the best advice I can give you when you are negotiating your offer is, instead of asking for $5,000 or $10,000 off of the sales price, ask for $5,000 or $10,000 in seller concessions. This is going to give you closing cost assistance. This is going to give you hopefully some rate buy downs. This is going to be your immediate relief. The difference in taking $5,000 or $10,000 off of the sales price is that $5,000 or $10,000 is going to be stretched over the 30-year loan. So you're going to see $5, $10, $15 a month decrease versus $5,000 or $10,000 up front that take off your closing costs that you don't have to immediately bring to the closing table. So if you're a buyer, that is absolutely one of the biggest perks that I would be asking for right now that I'm seeing left and right. So if you have any questions, comments about the market, things you'd like to know, put them in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
JP Morgan has predicted a 60% chance of a recession hitting us this summer, and this is how I think that it will impact Houston's housing market. For investors, this is going to be great because there's going to be a lot of people getting laid off and things like that. That always leads to a lot of foreclosed houses being on the market. So you are literally going to see a lot of houses on sale. And for first-time home buyers, I think this is going to be super good for you guys, especially if you have a recession-proof career and you know you won't be affected by this upcoming recession. There are so many incentives for first-time home buyers and the first-time home buying programs. You can literally get into a house with no down payment through a first time home buyers program. And also the best part about all of this is the interest rates are predicted to drop to 3.5%. It's not as good as COVID numbers, but it's as close as you're going to get. And I think personally that is great, considering the fact that at the beginning of this year, the interest rates were around 6%. Now, for the cost of housing, I don't really see it dropping too much. There will be an influx of supply on the market and a little bit less demand, but because Trump is trying to double down on the tariffs on Canada's lumber, I don't see the prices of housing, especially new builds, dropping too much because we get our lumber from Canada to build new houses. And because of the tariffs, I think he's trying to double it from like 14% to like 25 point something percent. It's going to make new builds around $9,200 more expensive than they were originally. So if you are still confident in purchasing in Houston, Texas, if you are an investor or if you are recession proof, you are a first time home buyer, my name is Chastity. I am a realtor in Texas. You could click the link in my bio, scroll down a little bit and book a 15-minute consultation call with me, and we can get started on your home search.
Here's something you should see. You want to see what affordable housing looks like in New York City? Check this out. This is New York City Housing Connect. This is the housing lottery website for the city of New York. You put your name in there, and if your name is drawn, you get to rent an affordable housing apartment, right? Sounds pretty simple, right? But check this out. No, you're not seeing anything. That is the eligible income range for the apartment here. $122,000 to $227,000. So if you don't make that gap, you can't even attempt to enter the lottery to try to rent this apartment. Now let's look at some of the rents. A studio apartment, $3,420 a month. Let's go see 3,000, 3,005. 2 bedroom, 4,370. No, 78, 75, whatever. $5,000. That's affordable in New York City.
Housing is now less affordable than any other time in U.S. history. The average monthly mortgage payment is now over $3,300. The average cost to rent is now nearly $2,200. Typically what happens is when you have rising interest rates, housing prices tend to go down, but this has not been the case. The median home price is actually rising in addition to rising rates. A median home in the U.S. is selling for roughly $400,000 and rates are at 7%. A lot of this is due to how quickly they rose interest rates because a lot of people have rates locked in at under 3%, whereas new buyers are kind of screwed over. So people who locked in really low rates really have no reason to move or sell. The median age for a new home buyer is now 36 years old, the highest it's ever been. People are spending over half of their income just to pay rent or for their mortgage. And heading into 2024, things aren't really looking to get any better unless there's a drastic increase in the housing supply.
Real talk. How do people buy a house? Like, I don't understand how people do it with like rental. Like, I live in Canada, and with rental costs and like school debt, it's just like, how do people save money to buy a house if you don't have family help? Like, I feel like it's nearly impossible. Like, I had 60 grand of school debt, gotten it down to 45. And mind you, I also had a kid when I was 17, so like, you know, there's those kid expenses. But like, how do people afford a house? Like, I need answers. Like, all I want is just a small house, like 1,000, 1,200 square feet, a little backyard, a little front yard, and that's the dream. But like, how do we make this happen? Like, I just want to enjoy life, but it's so expensive. Like, living in Canada, I don't know what other places are like it's just so expensive with rental costs and food and everything, and then like the school debt. It's just like, how do you save? Like, how do you save? Like, I do travel. I like to travel, but I also get a really good deal on traveling, and that's one thing like I won't cut out because basically, like, long story short, there was this woman that lived in my Nana's building, and she was the sweetest lady ever, and she waited until she retired to travel, and unfortunately when she retired she got cancer and died a year later. So it's always been like important to me to do these things, to travel, especially having my daughter. I don't want to like cut out those fun things because like this is her childhood. I'm responsible for her childhood, and I also want to live my life too, right? But so it's not something I want to cut out, but like, do you guys like cut certain things out to like save your money? Like, how do you afford a house? How do you buy a house? I need to know these secrets. I need to know, like, is it just like only gonna happen if you have family help? Like, how do people afford, like, the basic home in my area is around $1 million, and it would just be so nice to own something rather than renting. But obviously, like, I feel so privileged with, you know, like what I have. I love my job, and that's a massive privilege. I get to pick up my daughter and drop her off at school. Massive privilege. I have 5 jobs. I can't take on any more. How do people afford houses? Tell me, please. Also, like, this isn't to say that I'm not grateful that I can afford a roof over my head, because I am extremely grateful. This is all I ever wanted, was to have my own place. I just would really like to have something that's mine, you know?
Somebody wants to buy my condo right now. We are in a buyer's crisis. Like, I understand the housing crisis now. I'm in the crisis. Nobody is living, and nobody wants to live in my 400 square foot solarium and den, which is a great deal. I was gonna rent it for international students, and then they got deported. So, like, I can't even make money off of the international students anymore because they're all deported now. I'm losing so much money. I'm losing all my money. I have to support my 4 beautiful dogs in Newmarket. I have a big backyard to run around in, but like, I can't move into the 400 square foot. It's hilarious. Nobody understands how much I'm struggling right now. I might actually have to cancel my Legree membership. And I also canceled my omakase reservation. I have no choice. I have to go to the Queen and Spadina McDonald's now because I have no fucking...
If you're ever wondering what $1,000 can get you downtown Denver, this place has it. Let's see what it looks like. So, as you guys can see, of course, this is going to be a studio. You're going to have your fridge here, which is going to be tri-level. You're going to get your, oh shoot, I was opening the wrong spot. Fridge at the top, GE appliances. You're going to get your ice maker here, and then you're going to get your freezer there. This is going to be your oven. So as you can see, stove top is going to be electric. Got an oven there, get some storage at the bottom. You're going to get a microwave oven up here. It's really nice. Lots of cabinet space, surprisingly. It's on the cabinet space. You're going to get this really, really large sink as well. The sink's actually pretty large. The detachable head there. Let's go and check out this. So then you're gonna have this bathroom, which is pretty dope. As you can see, you see all the black finishes. You're gonna be able to hang up maybe your towel, your robe, whatever there. Really nice deep soaking tub. Some shelves here. Toilet. Let's take a look at this mirror. Quartz countertop. Really nice sink. I mean, the finishes in here are like impeccable, honestly. It's gonna be a toilet holder, and then let's take a look. As you guys see here, it's also going to be nothing but hardwood flooring throughout, and this is your living space. So this is it. This is your living space for $1,000, downtown Denver, Colorado, luxury apartment. This is what you're getting. Really nice window, get a pretty good view. You know, get the train tracks. There's other units with different views, but this is the view from this unit here. And then let's not forget the closet as well. So take a look at the closet. Yep, this is your closet. $1,000, downtown Denver, Colorado. What do you guys think? Would you spend your hard-earned money on this? I think this is great for like someone who's like never really home, wants to be downtown to have that walkability and enjoy life. I think this is the perfect unit for that person. So let me know what you guys think. If you're looking for an apartment downtown Denver, Colorado, click the link in my bio, and me or someone from my team will reach out. Peace.
So I will never own another house in my life. I feel like this has been a completely horrible experience. The American dream was you're supposed to own a home, be on land, blah, 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 blah. This fucking sucks. If this is the American dream, I want nothing of it. We did buy a foreclosure. I was aware that we might have a lot of work to do on this house. Yeah, but you can make money. You know, you put equity into it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but if the market crashes, then you're fucked. So it's like a fucking gamble. Whereas you rent, the gamble doesn't exist anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at this wrong and I'm just kind of jaded from this house. The inspector did not tell us everything. The house was as is. I get that. The inspector told us we might have to replace a few roofing tiles. There was a leak. Well, when we got everything done, and that's pretty much all he said. When we moved in and brought the roofers in, they were like, yeah, no, you actually need an entire new roof. And actually, a few beams have rotted through. So not only do we have to have a brand new roof, we have to replace some of the fucking house beams. And then we turned on our AC unit, which we assumed that the inspector had checked. So the AC unit turned on, blows up. Great. Fabulous. That fucking is awesome. Then we go to the attic and they tell us that our HVAC unit was put in completely backwards. Awesome. So we had to rip the whole thing out and redo it. Anyway, that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the issues with this house. Bottom line is, I don't think I will be owning another one, especially not in the near future.
I'm going to keep it 100%. Home ownership is not what I expected it to be. Honestly, if I had my time back, I would never in a million years have bought a condo. I regret it so much. It's one of the biggest regrets of my life. Renting, you have that like stress-free, no worry in the world. If something in my condo breaks, it's my responsibility to fix that issue. If I'm renting, I just call up my property manager, landlord, whoever, and just say, hey, this is broken, this appliance isn't working. It's their responsibility to send somebody in and fix that ASAP. When you're a homeowner, you're the one that has to do the research on finding someone to come in. You're the one that has to take the time and make sure everything's working smoothly. It's such a headache. I'll give you an example. Today, I had the unit below my condo say that they have a leak in their washroom. It's my responsibility to call a plumber, contact the property manager, and make sure it's fixed. And when you're a renter, that's not my problem. Like, my landlord will fix that problem. I'm paying rent and that's a wrap. That's where my responsibility finishes. If I could turn back time, I would never have bought. I would have just stayed a renter. And honestly, the extra money that I would have had, I don't have to pay property taxes, I don't have to pay for repairs. Extra money, I would have poured it into investments. And future me would have been a lot better off. Just something to keep in mind. Home ownership the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Just a fruit for thought. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Y'all, I am regretting buying a house. My fiance and I have not even lived in it for a year. And we had to buy an AC unit already, which is thousands and thousands of dollars. Obviously necessary and worth it, but very unfortunate. We're also trying to plan a wedding, so that was not ideal for the budget. And then we had add gutters. And then on top of that, we now probably have to replace our water heater. Just can't catch a break. And before anyone comes at me, we did have an inspection. None of it was flagged. So it's been a rough day. It's been a rough couple of months.
Transparency post. I regret buying a house. I regret it a lot. If I could go back to January 2022, I would tell that girl, do not. Just find another apartment to move into, because doing all this shit that I have to do for this house and all the unexpected costs, high dollar unexpected costs that I keep running into to be handling it by myself, is ass. So to all you young women who want to go out and buy a home, I encourage you to really, really think about it. Talk to some people and really see the ins and outs. I mean, it always sounds good. Oh yeah, your mortgage is only going to be $1,000 until they reevaluate your property taxes. And that bitch goes up $200, you know? It's trash. 85 degrees, your AC is going to go out. You don't want to know how much that costs. It's trash.
I think
I'm being dead serious. I'm looking at houses like for my son, and how the fuck does anybody afford a house? Holy shit, I'm not even kidding. Like, if you own a piece of property, you better hold on to it for dear life because it's unaffordable for anyone. Like, my children are never going to be able to afford a house. I don't even understand. Now, this is in Illinois, and I don't know how other states are. I don't know how other people are doing, but like, what the fuck? It's bonkers out there. Like, what? What? I mean, how much do people have to fucking make to be able to afford a house? Honestly, crazy shit happening out there.
Here's the Texas housing market update for June of 2025, and there's some crazy numbers here that I want you to pay attention to. First and foremost is inventory. There are 134,000 homes for sale. That is a record number for Texas, just in case you didn't know. And so that is taking this number, the median list price of current homes on the market, and bringing it down to this number of 375. And that is the median price of new listings. So it is the inventory and the competition that's causing home sellers to be more realistic about their pricing. Also, home builders are building homes that are a little less expensive and more affordable. And we're in the summer market, so that's prime selling time. So people are being more and more competitive with their pricing. There's another number that I want you to see, though. That is this median rent. Okay, median rent that's kind of crazy to me at $2,205. Now, if you were going to buy a home that is about $375K, doing 10% down with the current interest rates, that's probably, let's say, about $3,200 to $3,300 a month. Depending on where you are, okay, you can still buy a home for less than that median rent. I just got somebody into a new construction home priced around $270, and they got a 4.99 interest rate from the builder, and their payment is going to actually be $2,100 a month. Taxes, insurance, everything all included. So this housing market is crazy. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of high prices, but there are still some deals if you know where to look. Follow for more housing info in the Texas market.
So I'm looking at homes for sale in Houston, Texas, just out of curiosity. I like to see what's going on in other markets. And I was like, this is way too many homes for sale. My phone is glitching. I can't see what's going on. So I filtered by houses only. And it made no difference. There are so many houses for sale. Is Texas going through a housing market crash right now? This doesn't seem normal. Check the total available listings in Texas, and there are over 170,000 homes for sale. I think Texas might be going through a housing market crash. If I check the number of homes with a price drop, it's 35%. Now, it hasn't been the highest in the last few years. As you can see, in 2022, there were almost 40% of homes getting price cuts. However, price and price reductions are a very delayed statistic when talking about a housing crash. This is where inventory was when 40% of homes were having price cuts. Now there are 35% of homes having price cuts, and inventory is all the way up here. So there has been an increase in almost 60,000 homes available for sale in the state of Texas. And if you look at the median sales price, it hasn't really done too much since 2022, but keep in mind, this is a very lagging indicator. Inventory is a leading indicator. If buyers aren't in control of the housing market in Texas already, they're going to be very soon, as inventory is sky high. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're a realtor in any part of Texas, let me know what's going on, if there is a housing crash or correction around the corner, and follow me for more.
Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on in Texas? I'll tell you what's going on in Texas. I've been telling you for 2 years what's going on in Texas. And yeah, it's facing a huge market correction because there is over 125,000 homes for sale in Texas right now. Inventory is absolutely soaring. And you know, the people that were pouring into Texas, yeah, they're not doing that anymore. Yeah, they're finding that living in Texas, it's not that much fun. Yeah. The reason for that, there's a lot better places to live in this country than Texas. Yeah. And it doesn't take people really long to figure that out. So what exactly is going on? Inventory is soaring and now prices are falling all throughout Texas. Austin, Texas, down. San Antonio, Texas, down. Dallas, Texas, down. Houston, Texas, down big time. Yeah, Texas is in big trouble. Texas real estate, what's it going to be like this year, next year, and the next year? Down, down, and down. Like and follow for more. We'll be talking about it all year.
In case you guys are wondering how looking for a house is going to go right now, me and Lauren have been looking for 3 months. Every weekend. It's taken away from our content stuff, videos, whatever. We found one Friday. We knew we loved it. We knew we had to move fast. Full price offer, 20% down. We're thinking, oh, we'll get it. And we were very happy, whatever. And then I get a call this morning that somebody came in and paid over asking price cash. 99% sure it's a rental agency that's just going to rent it out. I mean, what do we do? We've saved up the money to be able to look for houses, and not to mention this house was like sold in 2020 for like $70,000 and they wanted $240,000. Insane.
My rent was $1,700 a month for a 1-bedroom. And then I got a notice that it was going up to $2,200. So I said, peace, see ya, I'm not doing this. And then I get a call that's like, oh, was that price the problem? Like, we can fix that. And I'm like, were you playing chicken with my rent? Why would you? Peace, done.
So I got a letter from my apartment complex to Miss Rachel Peterson Connolly. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but basically if Ty and I choose to renew our lease in August, it's gonna cost us $4,008 a month. We live in a 2-bed, 2-bath in South Denver. Just so you don't think I'm making it up, we would be paying almost as much as my parents do for a 7-bedroom, 11-acre house. Colorado, y'all are on some crack cocaine.
I have a question to ask people, just like objectively. Well, you got your people like, well, I can't change it. It is what it is, people. Just keep scrolling if you're one of those. How on earth is rent worth $2,000-$3,000 to you? How does that even add up? Like, how does that make any sense? You guys have normalized it to the point where it's like $2,000-$3,000. Bro, that's a lot of fucking money, bro. That's a lot of money, bro. And like, by people normalizing it, be like, just get with it, just do it, you gotta do what you gotta do. You guys are actually making it worse on everyone, because then people know, oh, you're dumb enough to pay $100 for a loaf of bread, so let's just charge everyone. Now we'll do $200. Let's see if anyone's fucking stupid enough to buy a loaf of bread for $200. And that's the reason it keeps going up and up, is because your dumbass keeps fucking buying it. Yeah, I get it, roof over your head, but come on, do fucking something.
Have I told you that we pay $5,000 in rent in New York City for a 1-bedroom? We're currently getting priced out of our apartment building, so let's talk about it. My first apartment, I paid $1,300 to live in a shoebox with no windows and 2 other roommates. After that apartment, I moved into a building with like a doorman, a gym, all that jazz because of COVID. Fast forward a few years later, and I still live in that building. I moved in with my boyfriend. When we decided to move in together, COVID was ending and the broker's fees were insane. If you want to move in New York, you pay essentially 3 months rent if you have a broker's fee. Now, a lot of people in Manhattan have that money. At 27 years old, 5 at the time, I don't have $12,000 laying around to just move apartments. Honestly, we could have moved to a different borough, which is probably what we should have done at the time. Our building's rent stabilized. Since it was stabilized, it only ever went up like, let's say $150 each year. Currently, our stabilization ends in June. We re-sign in August, and the building is like, we're going to be increasing rent to market rates, which means this place is probably going to be like $6,000 if I had to guess, a little bit more, maybe. We're making all these improvements, like putting a supermarket downstairs, redoing our gym, redoing our laundry room, like literally preparing to price everyone out of this building, it feels like, which they can do because there's people that will pay it. We're gonna start looking at buildings. We're looking at one in Williamsburg today that is so insanely nice, and it's a new build. So yeah, hopefully we're obsessed with this building. Wish us luck.
Okay, every time I post these videos, it really makes me wonder, what do people consider to be a normal amount of rent? For context, I'm from Massachusetts, where I paid $2,400 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom that was about an hour outside the city. I now live in St. Pete, Florida, where I pay, technically my rent is $32.75 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, but there's a special, so I only pay $27.72 each month, and I feel like that's completely fair. However, I own a business and work from home, so it is not only my apartment, but also my office space. I do get a reimbursement from my company every month as well for the office space, so my net rent that I pay, like as an individual, is about $2,400, which for everything I get feels normal to me. But then sometimes I see people saying that $1,800 is a lot for a 1-bedroom. And to me, $1,800 for 1-bedroom is like super cheap. Like I'm like, wow, that's cheap. But I know a lot of it depends obviously on your location. So I'm curious, based on where you live, what's like a normal amount for rent? What do you consider to be a normal amount for rent? Or like for a 1-bed, for a 2-bed, what would you be expecting to pay? Not what you would ideally pay, because we would all ideally pay crumbs for a nice place, right? But what would you like realistically expect to pay?
I pay $2,000 a month for my 1-bedroom in California. The rent itself is $1,850 a month, but when you add water and sewer, it comes down to $1,950. The average person earns $20 an hour, so after taxes, it'll be around $2,000. This is a serious question. How are people surviving this economy? In my last job, I was getting paid $30 an hour, and even that wasn't enough. In the job before that one, I was getting paid $25 the hour, and the one before, it was $20 an hour. The only time I was able to be comfortable was when I was making $42 the hour, and I still think that's not enough. Now when the cost of living here keeps going up. Last time someone left a comment in one of my videos saying that when companies outsource, it prevents employees in the US from getting higher pay. However, I disagree, because I've been working in business for a long time. I know that companies would rather hire multiple employees than give one good employee a raise. Companies would rather keep unqualified employees as long as it saves them some money. The only reason why the minimum wage is $15 is because of the labor laws. If it was up to the company, they would pay 50 cents an hour. But tell me, do you agree or disagree?